Clerk, I call the meeting to order. It's 5:30. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Jail Chapter 38, Section 18, and Governor Healy's March 29th, 2023 revised order extending remote participation by all members in any meeting of a public body. This meeting of the Select Board will be conducted both in person and via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and our parties with a right and the requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website. Committee members and members of the public may attend this meeting in person or remotely. Instructions for remote access can be found on the top of the agenda. Every effort will be made to ensure that those attending remotely can access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Pursuant to MGL 7C38, Section 20F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees on any such recordings. This meeting will be recorded by the Berkshire Edge, the Berkshire Eagle, the Town of Great Barrington, and CTSB. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listing of agenda items of those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. Select Board's announcements and statements. Ben?
Just want to do another thank you to DPW for keeping the sidewalks and roads clear with snow over the last few weeks, especially as we get into warmer weather with the kind of freeze thaw and ice building up. It's really crucial work, so I hope everyone stays safe, and thank you again.
Thank you. Garfield?
I'd like to echo that.
Sure.
Yeah, just wanted to remind everybody in this coming Saturday at the Hoosie Dome, there's the farmers market that's taking place. Always a good event, little social activity, and all the fresh food and stuff. So just wanted to remind everybody that will be going on this Saturday from 10 to 2.
Thank you. Town manager's report.
Just briefly to let folks know regarding the Housatonic Waterworks issue, this is an item that you just wanted to have the town manager update you on, but for the public's benefit, the board continues to meet in executive session, as you can see from this agenda, to discuss the Housatonic Waterworks, and we'll continue to do so. And that's really it for tonight.
Thanks, Chris. Licenses and permits. The annual Sunday entertainment license application for the Unitarian Universalist Meeting of Southern Berkshire, 1089 Main Street, Housatonic, Mass.
Due to being a butter, I'm gonna recuse myself from this item.
Is anyone here to speak on it? Yeah, it's like, come on. You want to just give us a little overview of what it is for those who don't know?
Sure, I mean, we already have a weekly entertainment permit, which allows.
And you are, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Karen Clark, on facilities management of the Unitarian Universalist Meeting of South Berkshire, which is why I'm here. And we currently hold a weekday permit, which allows us to have movies, concerts, things like that, that are open to the public Monday through Saturday. And we've recently had a request from a renter to hold contra dances on Sunday afternoons once a month. And so we thought that since that was rental, would help to pay for the permit and would also help us to meet our goal of being open to the public, you know, sharing our building with the public, that it was a good thing to pursue.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Right ahead.
Motion to for an annual Sunday entertainment license for the Unitarian Universalist Meeting of Southern Berkshire, 1089 Main Street, Housatonic.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Was that to approve it?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Next one is procedural. It's the zoning amendments. To transmit the proposals for zoning amendments to the planning board for public hearing to be held in March. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to transmit the proposals for zoning amendments to the planning board for a public hearing held in March.
That was second.
Second.
Are you gonna review the amendments, please?
No, we're,
And I'm gonna go through them?
no, we're just reviewing them for a public hearing, sending it to the public hearing.
I understand that. I was at the planning board meeting, but you're not gonna.
No, we don't do that.
Well,
Board is welcome to
We could
come to the
call,
public hearing or
I
submit
have a
comments for
couple
the
of
hearing.
concerns, I guess, or questions.
That's why we have.
yeah, that's why we have the public hearing. We wouldn't be the group to answer that. We'll come to the public hearing.
Well, I would like to express to you what my concern is before you pass judgment that it's not your purview. Because I was at the planning board meeting, it's coming here, it's going back to the planning board meeting to quote the chairman, Brandy Nelson, for a couple of maybe minor modifications. So before all of these go through, Claudia Shapiro, 70
You're first have to come up, Claudia, and I will let you speak.
Claudia Shapiro, 70 Plain Road. So at the last meeting, Steve, twofold.
Yeah.
You're a member of the Peter Most group, so are you gonna recuse yourself from
We're just
the Simon's Rock
transmitting these.
Amendment?
Not at all.
Okay, so I'm actually here to talk about the Simon's Rock Amendment. I've given you and Lee Davis, who's now our third state district representative, a copy of the 2001 swap report. And I'm gonna ask Mr. Remble, who is telling me, Mr. Remble, just correct me if I'm wrong. Simon's Rock property is not in the water quality protection. Simon's Rock property is not in the water quality protection overlay district.
That's correct.
This Simon's Rock property is in zone 2 of the Water Quality Protection District. Portions of it are in zone 2.
So it's already changing, and that's my concern, because you had told me, started out that it wasn't. Then you said that a small portion of it is, so I'm actually gonna give you both.
Portions of it are in it, and the
Portion,
zoning amendments aren't touching that.
well, I would like some type of differentiation on that for one thing. And I wanna make sure that these amendments aren't going to affect the whole water quality protection overlay district. And I'm gonna ask you to share this with the whole group. I'm gonna give you a copy,
Yeah, we'll
Mr.
send
Bannon.
it. We'll-
And I'm gonna give, I'd like to tell you what it is, please, if you don't mind. It's a source water assessment program, the SWOT report, written in June 2001, specifically for the Simon's Rock Bard College. It has all of these restrictions, recommendations, the water quality protection overlay district is something, unfortunately, I've been trying to protect for 2 decades, and it's trying to be undermined. So before you make any amendments to the Simon's Rock property, be very cautious, because there are, just be cautious of what you do, because you will be exceeding your authority. Put it to you that way. Thank you. And I'm not opposed to Simon's Rock being developed. Of course, I don't want it vacant, but I don't want the water quality protection overlay district being trampled.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you, Claudia. So I do have a motion and I have a second. Any other discussion by the board?
Just plan on being at the public hearing myself in March, so.
Good.
Taking up time.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. This next one is to authorize a letter of support for an application for the Community Development Block Grant Housing Rehabilitation Funds. Christie, you want to just give a very brief overview?
Sure, the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, is a program that we've been successful with over the last few years. It's federal funds that go through the state, through the Office of Housing and Livable Communities. Over the past few years, we've had several $1 million worth of grants. They help with low and moderate income homeowners make repairs to their homes. 2 years ago, we had a grant that was exclusively for Great Barrington. This year, we're sharing a grant with Egremont and Stockbridge. It's already being very well subscribed. And, there's such a demand, we have such a stock of older homes and folks who need assistance, making code upgrades, you know, replacing old boilers, a roof, weatherization, et cetera, to keep their existing home livable, energy efficient, safe is really important funding. So we're seeking another grant, in the coming year and, looking for the board's support, authorize, the chair to send a letter.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize a letter of support for an application for community development block grant. Housing rehabilitation funds
To be signed by the chair.
to be signed by the chair.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
I think this is a great thing. We gotta take advantage of any of these sort of benefits, especially with the prices of materials and labor these days. So anything to help residents keep their houses habitable and staying in them is great, and I appreciate you keeping an eye out for these.
I echo that, and I think as well as allowing residents to stay in their homes, the line here about an economic catalyst for the local construction. I think there's just a win-win on this. So thanks, Chris.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Next one is for us to review and comment to the planning board on the application from VFW Post 8348 for a special permit to install an electronic freestanding sign at 800 Main Street. Anyone want to speak on that? Yes. State your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Steve Blackwell, Commanders of VFW in Great Barrington. I live in Pittsfield now, 79 Birchville Drive. Thank you for hearing me out here. The VFW is seeking a special permit to place an electronic marquee sign at the post entrance at 800 South Main Street. The electronic sign will allow the VFW to increase the visibility of the post and to easily publicize the many events held at the site, which are an important mainstay for the facility. The sign is one-sided, measuring 96 inches long by 62 inches high. It will face forward, parallel to South Main Street. The top of the sign with approximately 104 inches to the ground, and the bottom of the sign 42 inches above the ground. We have scaled it to a 30-foot setback, which will be subject to the planning board specifications. The sign will not replace the older sign, which we feel has historic significance. The sign is designed and manufactured by Matthews Signs, Hudson, New York. It'll be facing out towards Route 7, towards the Historical Society, which is not inhabited. And it won't bother the housing down the street, so that's what we're planning on trying to get a permit for. It's just to let people know what we're doing and having events down there, and that people are welcome to the VFW.
Thanks, Steve. Questions from the board or anyone?
And is it a flashing sign, Steve, or it's just a?
No, I think it's gonna be lit, and then we'll be able to do automatic open, closed, different things, different events on the board.
Like cycling through events.
No,
that
it'll
are
just stay like,
just one static.
we have one event coming in a week, then that's probably what will be there. It's not gonna be flashing.
And I'm just, can you explain where it's gonna be in relation to the existing sign?
Well, you know where the other side is.
Yeah.
We're just gonna come back off the road 30 feet, almost like in between there and the doctor's building facing the historical,
I understand.
which,
So both will still be visible from the road?
yes.
Okay.
But like I said, it's not gonna be lit up like Main Street here, but it'll be off the road, so.
Do these signs shut off at like midnight or do they just stay on?
I think that's gonna be up to us. We'll probably even have open and closed on it when we are open and when we are closed, because we'll be able to do this from inside the building.
Okay,
So when the bartender leaves, we're closed. And the bartender is the boss, so.
sounds good. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm just, so it will turn off at when the bar closes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, and also no flashing, just regular sign and it's gonna be there. The other thing I wanted to ask, I don't know if you're budgeting or not, but is this gonna be all right for you and your budget is are things gonna start, will prices increase now for
Yes.
beer,
Realize
et cetera?
that. We have a group of people that have gotten together. They call themselves the Friends of the V, and, they have been money making and Mike invited money, and it's gonna be no cost to us
Excellent.
or the town.
For the patrons that come,
Nope,
so,
nope. Our prices pretty, we're the lowest ones.
yeah, they're nice.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to send the application for the sign to for the VFW post 8348 for a special permit to the planning board for a freestanding electric sign
For a positive
for a
recommendation.
positive recommendation.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Any other discussion? All in favor?
aye.
Unanimous.
Good luck.
Thank you, everybody.
There's Earth Day, do you wanna talk about that?
I have nothing.
So. In the packet, and it's here because it's on our calendar, Earth Day, and there is, what I would ask is that. I think Joe's on the line, I think it's Joe, but. Staff just coordinate with who's on the beautiful, what day it's going to be, the hours, and the town's role in it is, as it says on the paper, is trash bags to be supplied and advertising. Those are usually the two things that the town does. So I would just ask that staff coordinate that so that people know when it is. Usually. We advertise it, 3 weeks ahead, 4 weeks ahead, so people know and are prepared. Anything else from?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Do we have, is it usual April 22nd or whatever?
Well, that's why we should check with Lusitanic the vehicle, we should do it, we're obviously gonna do it at the same time for the whole town.
Yeah.
I would assume it's in that area.
Usually falls
Saturday.
on a Saturday,
Yes.
whether it's the Saturday before or after.
Yeah.
It's the question.
So next is to review the application for membership to the Child Care Committee. And our rules, our recommendations were committee should consist of 7 members at large. Members must be a Great Barrington resident. Preference is given to parents and residents with relevant professional experience. So as I see it on here, we have 9 people who applied. Well, 1 is not currently a Great Barrington resident. I have no problem if we put all 8 people on here. I don't foresee a tie vote coming up in any time soon. Ben, this is
No.
your baby, so go ahead.
Yeah, no, and I look, I'm so happy that we got such a great mix and I'd love to get them all on if we can. So I'm happy to put 8 on. I think it'll function properly.
And I encourage the other person to show up at all the meetings.
Yes,
They're all
absolutely.
public meetings. And
I,
they did say that they were moving to town eventually. And
Yeah.
we'll put them on.
Yeah.
So do I have a motion?
I make a motion to put 8 of the Great Barrington resident members onto the Child Care Committee.
Can you just read their names because someone's
Yes.
gonna.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Ruby Chang. Janice Lucy. Ryan Sears, Meredith Smith. Mary Stevens, Kate Tucci, Kate Van Oltz, Aretha Whitehead.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Okay,
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
just again, to thank everyone who applied. I'm excited for the enthusiasm from the applicants here and just to get to work on this. It becomes more pressing every day. So.
Yeah. I think it's a good committee to have. Glad that Ben got it going and look forward to hearing the recommendations that come forward.
So we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Next is the review of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Property Tax Exemption Proposal Memo. Fred, do you want to talk about it? Name and address, please?
Fred Clark, 388 Clark Street North. I am the co-chair of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Thank you for having us tonight. The property tax exemption proposal is another weapon or tool in our toolkit to sort of address affordable housing in any way we can. The state has given us this enabling law that allows towns to adopt a property tax exemption for the portion only of affordable rental that's rented on a 12-month basis. Our proposal, so within the state enabling law, we need to make some decisions. One of the recommendations that we're making is that it apply only to new affordable housing units. They need to be by statute rented for a full 12 months to somebody who meets the income guidelines. And if that's the case, then they would be, the property tax on that rental unit alone would be exempt or waived for that 12 months of the year. It helps to encourage people to add an accessory dwelling unit to their house. Some people have expressed concerns to us. We add an accessory dwelling unit, we're going to be taxed at a higher rate. We are not going to end up being able to even pay our bills because the tax goes up plus the cost of the building. So this helps us at a very small cost to the town to encourage or incentivize more affordable housing rentals. Our proposal from the Affordable Housing Trust is that it apply only to new units that are not currently rented on a 12-month basis for affordable housing. That doesn't mean newly constructed, it just means that right now they're not rented to affordable people. But we do want to encourage people to make rentals available to people who are fit in the income qualifications.
Chris, can you talk about the process?
I think that at this point, we are town meeting vote to pass something like this. This is one of the variety of tools that I think the planning board, select board, housing subcommittee had talked about. I think the planning board may have a year or two ago sent several ideas to the housing trust to consider all kinds of non-zoning ways to encourage affordable housing at little cost. So thanks to the housing trust for considering it and working through some of the finer points. Staff has not evaluated it yet to see what the fiscal impact might be or what exactly the adoption path will be. But I believe it would be select board putting it on the warrant and the voters, would have the final say. So I think next staff could
Come back to us.
come back to the select board and discuss it. Is that Brad,
Sure.
how you understand it? Yes, that there's a few fine points that need to be adjusted. And I think, certainly we need to understand the financial impact of waiving or exempting a portion of property tax. Yes. I think one of the examples would be Provincetown has a program like this. And Provincetown and Wellfleet do, but Egremont just adopted this last fall as well. And they did their estimate of the property tax impact was that there would be maybe 5 units that would be exempt from 2,000 each. So if you have an apartment that's, say you have a small building that has 3 apartments in it, and they're all equal size, and one is rented to an affordable 12-month rental,
only the portion, only that portion or a third of the property tax would be exempt, the rest would pay full assessment. So, yeah, a place like on the Cape, on the islands where they have such a big problem with seasonal rentals being so in demand, and we're getting that way here. They have been using this tool for a number of years, even before the state passed it under a home rule, that to encourage year-round 12-month affordable rentals. And that's really what we want to talk about, is not somebody that's renting for 9 months or whatnot.
Thanks, Rick. Michelle, you want to say something? Come on.
Michelle Louber, 70 Division Street. Accessory dwelling units, I go to the planning board meetings. Alternative housing is of interest to me because I actually talked to one planning board member about options on our house because I have a sister who lives at Beech Tree Commons and the rent increase down there is insulting in my opinion. Also, she is recovering from stage 4 cancer. And so, insult to injury there. So my husband and I are going, okay, you know, we have a big family, who none of us are rich. Maybe that's something we can do to our house. We had the conversation, our taxes have already increased substantially now. We said, well, we put an ADU on our house, we're gonna get slammed again. That Great Barrington should incentivize year round. My sister would be eligible for the affordable housing under. However, I don't expect to not pay anything on it. I'm a big believer not shifting burden, tax burden. And in a way, doing this is going to shift the tax burden depending on the number of units, take advantage of it. I think we all should pay our fair share. But I know people need some help. The way to encourage housing is incentivizing or anything else. Good employee performance, you incentivize that. So I have no problem with that, but a full exemption, I really do have a problem with, even if it applies to myself. So, what I don't see is a control of costs in Great Barrington. We're going to be going into the budget season. What I see is a shift of financial burden to other people in the community. So, like I said, I support some sort of incentivization for ADUs, and it would impact me at some point. But at the same time, a full exemption, I
didn't understand.
yeah, but that's what I wanted, yeah, and it would be for, excuse me,
I think.
oh, and like I said, would it be for perpetuity?
Right, that's why the staff has to look at it.
Yeah, exactly.
The
And so,
statute doesn't allow it to be.
Yeah.
The state statute limits it to no more than 3 years. But in Provincetown, they renew it every year.
and I don't think there's any way around it. There is going to have to be some sort of mechanism like this to encourage that type of housing. It's just to what extent, that's all. Thank you.
Charles?
Charles Lamson, 48 Blue Hill Road. I didn't come here for this, but about the tax exemptions. I want to bring up, back here a few months ago, you gave Thornwood.
So all we're talking about right now,
I know, I'm talking about the tax exemption, that's what.
this one, the affordable housing trust one, yes.
I don't think the selectmen have, or the town has a rule on giving tax exemption, and I just suggest you come up with. Nobody gets off of taxes, they pay 1/2 the taxes for 3 years, and that'd be a good policy. Right now, you have one out there. When it's complete, you never put an end date on it. And that's for that one I mentioned. All I'm just saying is that everybody should be paying their taxes. We're having a hard time paying our taxes.
Okay. Aaron, tell me.
Yeah, I guess, Fred, maybe this is a question for you, just when you state like new rental units or affordable, does that mean units that have like a deed restriction on
No,
it?
no
or how
deed
is that
restriction
determined?
is required.
Yeah.
And we're not proposing a deed restriction on it.
Yeah,
Basically, This can be set up for either an annual or up to 3-year commitment. But the idea was that the person requesting this, the owner, would come in and have a contract or a lease for 12 months for somebody that's affordable. Generally, some proof of their income and the property tax exemption would apply for those 12 months only.
Yeah.
Or for 3 years, depending upon how it's written.
Yeah.
You know, we already have a CPA tax exemption that we operate in Great Barrington now. And so my feeling is that that's sort of a model that we could piggyback on, or at least use to inform us, now. We already have that in place.
Yeah, I guess I was just curious how the town would determine whether it was like a new rental or not, as opposed to like a duplex that's been rented for 30 years. Maybe that's something that needs to be.
Sure,
Written out a little
I
more,
think,
that's
you know, at some point, we would ask somebody to sign and attest that this has not been previously rented to this tenant at an affordable housing income.
Yeah.
And I think that would probably cover us pretty well. It's, you know,
On that, I'm curious, so it's just the rent and how it relates to, you know, the current market rates essentially. There's no like inspection or anything to kind of qualify for this, or to just to make sure that
this
everything is.
program, our proposal doesn't include any kind of inspection. We, you know, each of these units is listed in the assessor's evaluation as to how many bathrooms, bedrooms, things like that.
Yeah.
And it's the, you know, the building code and health inspection to make sure, and fire, of course, to make sure that each apartment is up to other regulations, whether they're rented under this program or not.
Okay, Peter Most, go right ahead. You're unmuted.
Thank you. Peter Most, 19 East Mountain Road. Let's agree that Great Barrington could benefit from additional housing units. To create an additional housing unit from ground up is expensive. I don't think that this is intended to address a wholly new built home. But if somebody has the ability in their home to create an ADU, there's some expense involved, and defraying that cost would be an incentive to actually do that. So if somebody has a home that they could create a separate part of their home to house somebody, this will permit them to do that and not lose their shirt in the process. The town can cap the amount that it would spend supporting this initiative, and it would be valuable to the community. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Anyone else before we move ahead? Okay, first you'll get back to us when you come. First, you want to talk about the next, which is the open meeting law complaint?
Sure, we are in receipt of an open meeting law complaint. It's dated December 2nd, filed by Bill Shine, alleging violations relative to executive session minutes. June 25th, 2018, October 27th, 2018, and October 28th, 2019. This was apparently something that the board should have received in December to act on. But I think we must have missed it in the last few weeks of Mark's tenure. In any case, procedurally under the OML, we need to make you aware that there's been a complaint, there's allegations. The board needs to acknowledge receipt of that. And tonight, you'll see that you do have an executive session dedicated to this purpose, to review the minutes in question and decide whether or not they can be approved and released. Yeah, we can let the complainant and the Attorney General know of the board's action in open session, and that you'll review the minutes in executive session.
David, ask you to speak.
Oh, great. And town council is online to speak.
David, go right ahead here. Just unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So as Mr. Rimbold outlined, this is a complaint that relates to review and determination of release of executive session minutes. The regulations of the open meeting law do direct that the public body receiving a complaint review it and make a determination about the violation that's alleged. I do have a proposed motion to be made, which will really just formalize what was described to you as the outline. And we note for the record that there is also on the agenda this evening in executive session, as is permitted, an item for review of minutes for the 3 dates that are identified in the complaint. So if there are any questions, I can answer them, but if not, I can provide the language for a motion, and then a member may state so moved and you may take a vote. And the reason for the motion in a little more detail is that one of the obligations of the public body when it receives a complaint is to determine whether there is any, quote, remedial action that's required. And in this instance, the remedial action would be to review the minutes of the meetings in question and determine whether they may, in whole or in part, be released.
Let's hear the motion, David, please.
So the motion is, I move that the board vote to find that after review of the open meeting law complaint regarding the board's executive session meeting minutes, there was an inadvertent violation of the open meeting law with respect to review and approval of minutes for executive sessions on June 25 and September 27, 2018, and October 28, 2019. That the remedial measure needed is for the board to review the minutes of those meetings and determine if they may be released in whole or in part, and that the interim town manager report this vote to Mr. Shine, the complainant.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I have a question before you.
Yeah, do I have a second?
Yes.
So I have a motion and a second. Claudia,
So I have a question.
you need to come to the microphone and state your
Claudia
name.
Shapiro, 78 on Plain Road. I heard the dates you mentioned.
Yep.
It appears that Mr. Shine also on October 22nd, 2024, requested the December 16th, 2019 minutes. Is that not correct?
I know, it's not on the agenda tonight, so it's not within my knowledge.
But it's in the paperwork in your
Right.
agenda pack, inside your package, and it's inside Bill Shine's request. I'm reading it out of
Chris
On
hasn't
November
an-
4th,
Chris hasn't.
2024.
Chris hasn't answered. Chris, go ahead.
Right, so Mr. Shine did request 4 sets of minutes. Apparently the board did deal with the one that Ms. Shapiro just mentioned. The board dealt with that one, but not these 3. And so I think it was a bit of a mix-up. Thank you, Claudia.
So I'm gonna disagree with that again, Mr. Rumble. So I'm gonna quote from Mr. Shine's letter. On November 4th, 2024, the board convened into executive session to take up an earlier request submitted on October 22, 2024, to review/release minutes and materials from the executive session held on December 16, 2019. As of November 1st, 2024 email request, it had not yet been acted on and was included in the November 1st, 2024 request for completeness. So I have also tried to get the executive session minutes to no avail, specifically because I'm extremely concerned that my home, my 78 Mount Plain property is included in there. What I did get,
when I requested it, I got one page from former town manager, Mr. Krasinski, that had to do with, I can't even remember what, but then I received this from you, Mr. Remble. This is Wednesday, November 18th, 2020, executive session, okay? And it says executive session 12/16/19, page 1. It's unsigned. And it says on the bottom, discussion of this matter concluded at 7:50 PM. The board then turned to the executive session for the GE/EPA/EAB matter. Those minutes are on a separate page. I never got the separate page, so I'm actually making a public records request to you, Mr. Rembo, for that page, please. Thank you.
We have a motion and we have, Eileen's got it. Sorry, Eileen, I didn't see it. Eileen, go ahead.
I thought that Mr. Dineski said the minutes or the agreement on whether or not to release the minutes would be released to Mr. Shine. But why aren't they why would that not be made public, whether the minutes are or are not?
If the minutes were made public to Mr. Shine, they'll be made public to anyone who asks for them.
So that the announcement as to what was decided will be public.
Correct.
Thank you.
So. Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Public hearing. Public hearing, application for a new wine and malt license, Half Rats LLC, 343 Main Street, Great Barrington, Mass. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I make a motion to open up the public hearing.
Do I have a second?
Okay.
The roll call vote, Ben.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
And I. There are Ariante, an explanation of the project. Name and address, of course, if you know.
Yes, thank you, Steve. Thanks to the board. Gary, attorney for the applicant. Applicant LLC is Half Rats LLC, represented by the entity's manager, sole manager, sole member, owner Abby Pendergast. She is obviously with me here tonight to make this application. She's also a liquor license manager. And just a couple of points. The location is 343 Main Street. It's right on the other side of the street, the former BCC building. It's going to be what's known as Unit 1. I think it's on the left, over on the street facing the building. About 700 square feet. She's applying for a wine and malt section 12 liquor license to have potentially a wine bar at that location. It's a pretty small unit, 700 square feet. The only ingress egress is from the street. There's no interior building access. She at this point does not intend to have cooked food. There may be some kind of snacks and things like that, charcuterie. At the point in time, all alcohol will be served, all will be stored and served obviously on premises. She's here tonight and is happy to answer any questions that you might have, and I'll do the same. As far as footprint goes, it's fairly simple. She's leasing from the current owner, a multi-year lease. And I believe the application is complete and under the assumption that the select board is in support of the application, look forward to seeing it forwarded to the ABCC.
Thank you very much. First is public comments and questions to speak in favor or opposition. Not seeing any public comments. Question from the select board. Ben.
Half Rats. Can you explain the meaning of the name?
Yes, it's an old Victorian slang for meaning the feeling of being kind of tipsy.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
Yeah, do you have second egress or another way out? Is that not a fire? I don't know, but is that not a fire code violation? So you have to have two ways to get out. There's a fire. You can only go one way. Doesn't sound like that's gonna work.
Yeah, I don't, for this use and this structure, this size, and I don't believe there is. I know that the current owner of the building, lessee is not under, lessor is not under that assumption for this use group is proposing to in the building.
Unofficially, which I probably shouldn't do, I think it depends on how many people who are legally allowed into that unit. If it's under a certain number, then they only need one.
But we don't know that yet. And my own feeling is that it's really important.
Well, the building inspector, it's not up to us, it's a building
Okay,
inspector.
but I'm just giving you my.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, there certainly is to the extent that it comes up, I suppose, C of O for the building and the space, I don't believe they've been issued. I know the space is not, for the building itself, it's, you know, it's imminent. But I suspect that if that is raised, that process will have to be addressed.
What do you plan to open?
When?
Yes,
The building right now is still under construction, so ideally, probably in the winter time, maybe late fall, but realistically, probably in the winter. Next winter.
And it's a wine and malt license, but from the description, do I get the sense that it's more focused on wine as a
Yes.
program?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's gonna be basically just wine, and then I'll have some like beers and cans and bottles, but solely wine focused.
There's gonna be a little bit of a pain. There'll be some way or someone who's able to, can be old enough to serve and someone who's checking IDs to make sure everything's always. And you know.
Yeah, I mean, I will be there mostly all the time. I'm tip certified. I can check IDs. I'll be available and able to do that.
Abby has a substantial experience, she can tell you better than me, but working in various capacity
Mhm.
at pretty well. I don't know if you want to detail.
Yeah, I've been working at the Prairie Well for 6.5 years now, probably. Right now, I'm behind the bar and I manage on the floor. Yeah, I've been bartending for the past year or so, and then serving and hosting and managing ever since then.
any other questions from the board?
I guess, just a few, any thoughts on entertainment or anything like that anytime soon or down the road possibly?
Possibly down the road. I think I'm gonna stay pretty simple for the beginning of, when I first opened, but potentially down the road, I don't.
And is there, any storage that goes along with the place as far as for your inventory or?
We'll be building like dry storage cabinets that we'll be able to have locked and stuff like that, and then there'll be like a low boy fridge behind the counter as
So
well as.
it's all gonna be just right in your space here?
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
okay.
But one other thing, I have no idea, I honestly don't know, does this need to be handicapped? I have no idea if that's part of it. No, I don't know.
I believe it is.
Yeah, so the entrance is at grade.
Yeah.
So it's a sidewalk grade. And again, I know that there's no impediment, everything is flat, there are no steps, there's nothing she has proposed on the plan. If you look at the floor plan that identifies the premises, 2 bathrooms, one is fully handicapped accessible, the other is not, so that aspect is addressed. Again, as far as ingress and egress for the public from off premises to on premises.
Do you have a motion to close the public hearing?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Do you have a second?
Second,
Roll call, Ben.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
And I. Select board, any further discussion?
I guess, I'm always excited to see new businesses go into town, especially, I guess I'm not really considered young anymore, but it's good to see a lot of young businesses starting up, so. Especially a place, real small footprint and everything right on Main Street, I like the sounds of it, I like these small little spots in it, sounds good, and I was under the impression for a while that that was mostly residential spots, so I think it's a good location right there to enter the town, so. I think this is good for the town and happy to see more young entrepreneurs coming into, so.
Yeah, I echo what Eric says. I think having more communal spaces in town is always a benefit, and it sounds like a great fit, especially kind of extending the corridor to the south there. So I'm excited.
Good. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the application for beer and malt for Half Rats LLC at 343 Main Street, Great Barrington, Mass. 01236, pending all the, we'll see above.
1, 2, 3, up.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, there's a time.
No, have it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion further? Roll call vote. Dan.
Aye.
Garfield.
All right.
Eric.
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Citizen speak time. Molly? Handouts too.
Thank you.
Charles Manson, 48 Blue Hill Road. I'm looking for the selectmen to give us some help on this. I've been up talking to Peter Dillon. And I just want you to look at the top half of this school choice. There's 21 other towns coming to our school, which is Stockbridge, West Stockbridge, and Great Barrington. And 21 other towns are using our school. And back in the 1960s, the state set up that they would pay $5,000 for school choice, and then they walked away from it. And the price now for a student to go to our school is $25,000. So of that school choice, we have 255 school choice students coming to our school. And that $25,000 is $6.3 million. That's 30% of the school budget. The school budget's around 20 million. And Great Barrington pays the lion's share of the school budget, of 70%. So as being good neighbors to all these other towns around us, we're out of our pocket, all your pockets, not mine, all your pockets, $6 million. We could either start getting out of school choice or going above the state and start charging what I'm saying, charge the full tuition price and 20%, and that 20% use it to improve the school buildings and take like 30% of that money and also lower the budget. I'm looking for you guys to look at the thing. I'm not even talking about tuition. Tuition, they don't even pay half. Tuition, students come in for around $10,000 or less. So we're making up that difference. So for being good neighbors, we are coming out of our pockets, out of your pockets, over $6 million. We're making up the difference. And I'm looking for you people to look at this and say, hey, this has been going on since 1960. Smitty Pignatelli didn't do a damn thing. Talked to him many times about it. Yada, yada, yada. So that's a gem up there. I voted for that school to have it built. And we should be making money on it. We should be looking at it as a business. Give you an idea, Harvard, their endowment, they have $53 billion in their endowment. I'm saying, if they're gonna come to our school, let them pay. We're paying double the taxes these other towns out here, take like Hancock, Hinsdale, Mill River, Monterey, they don't pay what we're paying. because they don't have a high school. So now we're paying for their shortcomings. I don't think it's right. And I'm looking for your help.
Thanks, John.
I have one other thing I want to buy.
You're already at 3 minutes, so Steve.
I know,
Quickly.
but I had two items. I just want to run this one by Eric. Eric, I'm just want to talk about the CPA. We're paying 3% for extra on our taxes. And I'm saying, you know Housatonic very well, all the seniors down there. I just want to cover three of the things that they've done. They're a special interest group. They've got nothing to do to help us. They helped the bowling lanes when it got sold here for less than $1 million. Less than 6 months later, they gave them $50,000 for a sprinkler system. How does that help us seniors who are paying?
Sorry, just speed it up a little bit, 'cause I have to stick to close to 3 minutes, so.
Well, all I'm looking is for all seniors 60 years or older should be exempt from the CPA. It's not out there to help us. You're taking our money, you're using it for Wheeler Farm, you're using it for refurbishing church. I have my own church. All I gotta say is, look at the seniors that you have, and Eric is a good guy right there. He knows how many seniors out there will never use anything the CPA is using.
Thanks, Charlie.
We need help.
Anyone else? Hey, no one else? Select board time. Yeah,
Nothing from me.
Garfield.
Nothing.
Eric,
Awesome, thank you.
and I'm all set, media time. Heather? Go right ahead.
Hi, can you hear me? It's Heather Bello, Berkshire Eagle. Just curious, I know it's executive session, but I'm curious about item D, deployment of security personnel or devices for summer events. I'm just curious what prompted that and what summer events you're thinking about.
We haven't had the executive session yet, so. I
Okay,
can't answer that.
got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We have 4 executive session motions. One is executive session under MGL chapter 38, section 21A6 for the following purpose: to discuss, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate regarding Housatonic Waterworks. If the chair declares an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiation position of the public body, and I do declare. May I have a motion?
To move the board meet in executive session pursuant to MGL chapter 30A, section 21A6 for the following purpose: to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate regarding Housatonic Waterworks, because an open discussion may have a detrimental effect and on negotiating positions of the board and the town.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, Ben.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
And I. Next, it's executive session under MGL chapter 38, section 21A3 for the following purpose: to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation. An open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body. May I have a motion?
Move that the board meet in executive session pursuant to MGL chapter 30A, section 21A3 for the following purpose: to discuss strategy with respect to litigation of Housatonic Waterworks Company rate increase petition to the Department of Public Utilities, DPU number 2365, and the town's appeal to the Supreme Judicial Court, Town of Great Barrington, ETAL versus Department of Public Utilities, case number SJ 2024-0312.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, Ben.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
And I. Next is executive session under MGL chapter 38, section 21A7 for the following purpose: to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law or federal grant and aid requirements. Do I have a motion?
Move that the board meet in executive session pursuant MGL chapter 30A, section 21A7 to review and approve executive session minutes from previous meetings, June 25th, 2018, September 17th, 2018, and October 28th, 2019.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, Ben.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
And I. Executive session on MGL chapter 38, section 21A4. For the following purpose, to discuss deployment of security personnel or devices or strategies. Respect to therefore, thereto, and the chair so declares, which I do declare. Motion.
Move that the board meet in executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A4. To be briefed by emergency service personnel on proposed safety measures and strategies for summer's events.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, Ben.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Aye.
And I, and we will not return to open session.
This opportunity after you.
Yeah.
serve notice.